Welcome to BizJet TV. My name's Fabrizio Poli, and today's episode we're going to be talking about business aviation disruption. Yes, there's disruption coming to the industry. Two pieces of news were published this week, which are important. That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So tune in if you're a business person and you're looking into business travel with private aviation. This is certainly a piece of news that's going to interest you. If you want to travel with your family safely and travel around the world fast and in a safe manner, this is certainly a great episode you're going to enjoy. But there's lots more content here on BizJet TV. If you're first time here, welcome, and have a look around after you finish watching this episode. Lots of content, over 300 plus videos, and lots more to come. So subscribe if you haven't done so already. Click on the notification bell so every time something is published you're notified, and also comment below. We love to hear your comments and suggestions and recommendations for the future. So let's get into today's episode all about business aviation disruption. Off we go. So the first piece of news I want to touch on is about urban air mobility, or the eVTOL, electrical vertical takeoff and landing news. Here, Volocopter, which is a company based in Germany, just raised another 200 million euros, which now adds up to the money that already raised, which is now a total of 322 million euros, which is about 384 million US dollars. Now, this is an interesting design, as you can see. Volocopter have got quite a unique approach to this. I mean, this in particular is the VoloCity. The VoloCity has 18 engines, or motors as they call them, 9 battery packs, so lots of redundancy built into this system here to fly you from A to B. It's very silent. It's electric. It doesn't pollute the air like a helicopter would. And this is where when I say disruption, is, the UAMs, the electrical vertical takeoff and landing, are going to replace helicopters completely. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, what about the 16-seater helicopters? I mean, the batteries aren't big enough, or haven't got enough power to be able to fly 16 people. Yes, that is the case right now, but this technology is moving very, very quickly, and I think inside the next 5 years, we will see the larger helicopters being replaced by these eVTOLs. Now, interestingly enough, not only is the UAMs, the urban air mobility vehicles, going to be a bit of a disruptor for the helicopter industry, but it's also going to be a disruptor for the car industry, because people are going to say, well, you know what, instead of traveling by car from A to B when I'm in New York, I'm just going to fly on one of these UAMs. Why not? Interestingly enough, Daimler, which is a car company, have actually invested in Volocopter. And then you've got Hyundai have invested in some projects, Toyota, and then you've got other big companies like Google and Uber, which are all investing in the urban air mobility space. So, very interesting, big disruption here. I mean, it's going to be good for the environment because these things don't make a lot of noise, they're a lot cheaper to run, and guess what? They don't burn oil, so they're not polluting the atmosphere. This is great news. And this is, people say, this is going to happen in 10 years' time. It's not. The first one of these things is going to be certified to fly paying passengers by 2023. So between 2023 and 2025, we're going to see the launch of the first few of these out there, and it's going to become quite normal to see these things flying out there. But a little bit more on Volocopter as a company. Interestingly enough, they have the VoloCity, which flies people. Then they have the Volo drone, which flies drones, and then they're developing a whole ecosystem with the Volo ports and the Volo IQs for the drones. So these are the hubs where these things land and operate to and from. So interesting that they're building this whole ecosystem as well as just building the VoloCity. They're into drones, and drones, it's the same type of technology, and this is how these eVTOLs were developed. It was started off with the drones, and they said, well, what if we built a bigger drone and can carry people instead of just objects and cargo? And so this is here to stay. I mean, the big players putting billions and billions of dollars into this. So it's certainly something to look at. Volocopter are going to be launching their first Volo ports in Paris, in France, and in Singapore. And then we're going to see this unravel throughout lots of other cities around the world. We've got also Lilium Jet with the deal that they did recently with the city of Orlando. You can click on the video above about what they're up to. So that's the first piece of news of disruption in the business aviation sector. The second piece of news is NetJets, which operate over 750 aircraft worldwide, owned by Berkshire Hathaway, which is a company owned by Mr. Warren Buffett, who's one of the richest people in the world, have just signed an MOU with Aviation, which are going to be building one of the first supersonic private jets called the Aviation AS2. They're just in the process now of building this big facility in Florida where they're building the prototype. They're going to start doing test flights and then rolling this out. So NetJets have ordered or signed an MOU for 20 of these Aviation supersonic jets, which is going to be offered on their fractional ownership program. So it's interesting to see NetJets step into the supersonic space. I mean, NetJets have got a lot of money behind them. They've been very successful. They built a fleet of 750 aircraft, offer a good service in that, and now they're getting into supersonic. So what does supersonic do? You imagine you jump on one of these things in New York, you get to London in 3.5 hours, and then you jump on one of these volocopters or Lilium jets or one of these UAMs, which takes you to your meeting. So it's just going to accelerate the way we travel. So these are two interesting things that are happening right now. As business people, we need to think, okay, this is where the world is going. How can I position myself to use this type of technology to accelerate my business? So if I have my own UAM to fly around in, instead of maybe using a car, it allows me to move around a lot quicker. It gives me more flexibility. And then if I have one of these supersonic jets, it gets me across the ocean a lot quicker. And it's all about speed, about flexibility. And so these two things are coming into private aviation. It's going to disrupt. I mean, I'm thinking, will these supersonic jets, will they cut into, the larger, long haul private jets like the Global 7500, which is a great airplane built by Bombardier, or the new series of Gulfstreams, the G500, G600, G700. You can click on the video above about those Gulfstreams. Is this type of aircraft, this supersonic aircraft, going to replace these other aircraft which, fly transatlantic, larger cabins, but take a lot longer? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting battle because Aviation is a new company. Like a lot of these electrical vertical takeoff or UAMs, as they call them, they are new companies. They're coming into, takeaway business from, Fiat, Ford, BMW, and Bell helicopters and whatever. This is what they're taking. The UAMs are taking business away from them. And then my question is, will the supersonic jets, and it's not just Aviation building, we've got Spike Aerospace, we've got Boom Aerospace as well. So, there's these three main players are going to be building private jets that fly supersonic. And we've got a few hypersonic projects out there as well. So, it's certainly speed is the way forward. So my question is, a question to you, a Gulfstream, what's going to happen to Gulfstream? What's going to happen to Bombardier? What's going to happen to Embraer or Dassault? Are they going to have to come into the supersonic, hypersonic market in order to compete? Are these urban air mobility electric vehicles going to start to end up having more range and a little bit more speed and start to cut into the private jet market as well as the helicopter market? Because as these things get faster, more efficient, and have more range, and then you've got the Hyperloop, of course, which is another technology which is going to cut into the whole business aviation thing as well. So let's have a look at these technologies. Comment below, what do you think? How these technologies are going to affect the industry? How these technologies are going to affect your business? It'd be interesting to hear that from you. Any suggestions, recommendations for future videos too. And if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on BizJet TV. And I'll see you on the next one.